Chukwudi, what exactly is your work? 2 years, you have sold phone, you have sold car, you have sold shoes, and now you are selling furniture. What exactly is your work? Now, are you like Chukwudi that you have been selling different kind of things? I understand. I'm sure it's because you are trying to make ends meet. Country hard. That is one of the reasons why in the next 100 days, I'm going to be showing you a better way of doing this thing. How you can find purpose, how you can stay and focus on a business and build it and become a huge name. I'm going to be teaching you how to build a successful business. And even if you decide that you want to go online and you want to diversify, I'm going to be showing you exactly how to do it. And also I'm going to be fixing that mindset of yours that has been taking you pure. Join me on this 100-day journey. It's absolutely free. Titled Mind and Money. I am going to be teaching you skills that will help you transform not just your mind, but also your pocket. You know say too much garri dey cause alcohol. And you know say this your garri wey you dey take na because of Satan. Now, let me show you how you can increase your income. Let me show you ways that you stop drinking garri every single day. There are other types of food. There's rice, there's beans, there's chicken, there's so many other things. But you cannot afford those things if you rely on only one source of income, which is your salary. In the next 100 days, I'm going to be sharing with you how you can make money both from cryptocurrency, forex, and from owning a business. And that is not just all. I'll be adding a bonus on teaching you life skills, how to get out of depression, how to handle breakup, and how to live a best life. If you are interested in turning finance around, click on the link below. Join me on this transformative journey. It is absolutely free. Stop drinking garri every time. Because I said it's free doesn't mean that the link is going to remain open forever. Get on the board. I'll see you then. All right. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to yet another episode of Business Therapy in the Mind and Money session. Right? I want to believe we are ready for today's session. Now, today we are going to be talking about a topic that is highly misunderstood. Right? A topic that is highly misunderstood. We often hear the customer is always right. First of all, I also would like to apologize for starting a little behind time. We had quite a whole lot of things to do at the office. So sincere apologies. Thank you for understanding with us, right? Okay, so we are looking at a very important topic. The customer is always right. The customer is always right. Now the question is, I'm sure you might have heard of this before, that the customer is always right. So the question is it actually true? Is the customer always right? Right? Is the customer always right? Because most times, people do not understand what it means. What this simply means is that every business should lay emphasis and priorities on customer satisfaction and meeting customers' demands. Right? That every business should lay emphasis on customer satisfaction and meeting customers' demand. Right? So businesses should always, look at the complaints of customers, the opinions of customers, the preferences of customers. Now, there is also something that needs to be understood at this point. It's simply, the whole idea basically is we want to ensure the customer is happy. Right? We want to ensure the customer is happy. But the question is the customer truly always right? Is the customer truly always right? Now, we are going to look at this statement from different angles, right? And I'll try as much as possible to give us, relatable examples. Now, if you are in the business of buying and selling,
retail business. Now, when they say the customer is right, of course, the customer's experience, the customer's perception is what will shape their experience. Are you getting me? The customer's perception is what will shape their experience. Majorly, what you should be looking at in this kind of business is understanding the customer's complaint and promptly responding to it. Why? To maintain customer loyalty. So you are into buying and selling. Of course, if you sell something to somebody and the person complains, okay, let me give you an instance. You sell bread and you give a bread to a customer, and the bread tells you, I can see some molds at the edges of this bread. Then instead of you to try to, pacify the customer and change it, not maybe, and try to give just at least pacify the customer, you now go about shouting, Madam, now today I buy that bread, if you don't go buy and leave am. Now, in those kind of industries, truly, the customers are always right. If you are in the retail business, if you are in the service industry, the customer is always right. Do you understand? The customer is always right. Now, in cases where the product quality or performance is objectively measurable, that means we can say, okay, to an extent it's good. Okay, let me give you an example. You sell a speaker to somebody. The speaker is good. Let's say you sell speaker, loudspeaker, or sound system, and it's good. But the customer says it's not loud enough. Wait, it's not loud enough, but it's functioning as intended. It's not defective. It did not spoil. It's not producing any funny sound. What are you supposed to do there? You are supposed to make the customer understand that, see you, in that occasion, right? The customer is not right. The customer may not always be right. When it comes to product quality that is objectively measurable, it did not spoil. Like the speaker is still working perfectly, but it's just that maybe it's not as loud as. It's not a fault from you that is the seller. The product quality is not a fault. You sell phones, then somebody buys a phone and comes and tells you that the camera no sharp. Is the customer right? Say, I know now this phone where you give me, the camera no clear. Do you understand? In those kind of situations, the customer is not always right. So what are you supposed to do as a business owner? Is to look for constructive solutions to address that dissatisfaction. Constructive solution to address that dissatisfaction. Number 3, ethical considerations. Ethical considerations. Now, there are ethical and legal considerations when it comes to doing business. Now, let me tell you, it's not every time the customer is right. Okay, say for instance, a customer comes to buy an item and it is clearly stated that this item is non-refundable. Let's use something like underwears. So you sell pants, then a customer comes, buys pants, and you clearly tell him or her that check it that is the size, because it is not refundable. You cannot bring back this pant after you carry it and go. Then for some reason, the customer takes it, let's say it buys like 10, then comes back with like 4 and say, size my pikin. Is the customer right? The customer is demanding for a refund. for a non-refundable purchase. Is the customer right? Now, because most times we really get this thing wrong. The customer is always right. The customer is always... No, the customer is not always right. There are situations where the customer is not right, especially when it comes to things like this. So a customer is demanding for refund for a non-refundable item. At that point, the business will need to stand on its policies, uphold your ethical standards. And at that point, you have to respectfully disagree with the customer. You have to respectfully disagree with the customer. Right? Now, long-term customer relationship. Long-term customer relationship. You know, most times, if you are looking at prioritizing the customer's immediate satisfaction, it may not align with your long-term business goals or values. Yes, individual customers' interaction is very important, but always consider long-term implication. Let me give you an example. Let's say you run a school, and it is clearly stated students are not to bring phones to school. And if those phones are brought to school, the phones will be seized till maybe the end of the session or the end of the term, as it were. And the parent, a child decides to bring phone to school, and the phone is seized. Then the parent comes the next day and is demanding for the phone. Now, for the sake of long-term consideration, that phone should not be released. Do you know why? Because once you release that phone to that child or that parent, the students now know that this law is no longer valid. That means if we bring phone and they seize it, we will call our parents the next day and collect it. So, for the sake of long-term customer relationship, there are certain customer interactions that you must consider the implications of that decision. You must consider the implications of that decision. Very important. Right? Now, number 5, customization and special requests. Now, customization and special requests is simply talking about if you are offering a service that is not on the shelf. Okay, what do I mean? Things like event planning, catering, all those things, that it has to be based on the tastes of the customer. If you are cooking, for instance, if you are serving, if you are doing decorations, if you are planning an event, of course you know that your work is to go over and beyond to fulfill the customer satisfaction. And at that point, if the customer says this thing should be read, it has to be read. At that point, for customization, the customer is 100% right. Even if they are deviating from the standard procedures, but you have to go over and beyond to fulfill those specific requests, because those are customized and special requests. So it's not the same. Yes, you are into events. It's not the same hall. You can decorate. Let's say you're into decoration. You can decorate like 15 or 20 halls in 1 year, and you may not come to one hall more than once. Right? So it's very important that you look at the customer's need if you are in that niche. You have to follow completely the customer's need. Right? Now, number 5, right? Or number 6. Number 6, technology and innovative industry. The technology and innovative industry. Now, industries that are driven by technology, right? The customer's feedback, of course, plays a crucial role, even though they don't have the technical expertise. Now, let me give you an example. So when GT Bank moved from GT Bank app to GT World, to them, they had made a breakthrough. But the GT World app was shit. It was very bad. Customers kept complaining, even though they know that they don't have the technical expertise to correct the thing. But they know that at least we use other banks' apps. And the operation is smooth. After a while of complaining, what happened? Eventually, GT Bank had to do an update. Right? So in those kind of, if you are in the technological area where you know users use your product, trust me, their feedbacks are very important. Very important. Yes, they don't know how to get it done, but they know that these things can work like this. So in those kind of industries, very, very important. Very, very important. So you must understand that customers are right. Customers are right. Okay, so another example, number 7. In a relationship of business to business, of course, one business is the one offering the service, another business is the one receiving the service, the client. One is the vendor, the other one is the client. The vendor aims to meet the client's needs. However, in this kind of relationship, even though the client is the customer to the vendor, how this relationship works best is negotiation. You don't expect that the business is going to meet everything you say. No, it's a business to business. So the best way for these kind of relationships to work is what? Negotiation, contractual agreement, service agreements, negotiated terms. So in this kind of scenario, there is no customer is always right. Right? It's no customer is always right. Sit down and plan. Now, crisis management. Crisis management. Now, in a situation where the product, the reputation of the product is being affected, at that point, 2 things have to be going on at once. Of course, we are trying to address the customer's concern, but we are also looking at the publicity, the negative publicity. So most times what you would focus on is mitigating the damage. That should be your focus. At that point, it's not about what the customer is saying, because there is already a negative publicity. So now we are not focusing on the customers. We are trying to do what mitigates the damage. And we must take time to rebuild trust. This one, whatever the customer is, yes, you'll be taking time, of course, to address the customer's concern, but what you are more focused on. Now, let me give you an example. If because of one person, your brand gets negative publicity and it goes viral, Now, at that point, are you supposed to be massaging the ego of the client or trying to, mitigate the crisis? That's exactly what you should be looking at now, mitigating the crisis. Because you cannot say the customer is always right, then you are listening to everything the guy is saying. No. Some things are just pure bad belly. So at that point, what you are doing is crisis management. Right? Now, there are situations where customers may not always be right. There are situations where customers may not always be right. I'm going to give you 5. So I'll give you as many as I can. Number 1, unreasonable demands. When a customer makes a demand that is not ethical, that is not legal, that is impossible to fulfill, if you are thinking that customer is always right, it can lead to detrimental outcomes, very detrimental. It will cause damage to your business. Like the example I gave earlier on, the customer demands for a refund for a product that they have used or have damaged. Does that make any sense? Is the customer right then? No. No. At those points, the customers are not right. Number 2, abusive behaviors. In cases where customers decide to be abusive, threaten, harass employees, there is no rightness. Because if you try to prioritize customers' rightness, you will compromise the well-being and safety of your staff. Okay, so where I worked one time in a school, a parent came and was angry at everybody. I mean, he was talking rudely to almost everybody. So he was talking rudely to the accountant, and the head teacher came. He was talking rudely to the head teacher, the principal came. He was talking rudely to the principal, the proprietors came. And he was almost trying to start talking rudely. So when I got there, I did one very simple thing. I called the security man, escort this man out of the building. Then the man, his body now calm. They now escorted him out. Much later, of course, he will not be happy. So, of course, he called the proprietor. The proprietor called me and he told me, I said, there is no way we'll talk about customer rightness when a customer comes to a system and abuses the entire authority of the system. That customer can never be right. That's an abusive behavior. If you tolerate such abusive behavior, you have set a harmful precedent and you will kill the morale of your employees. Abusive behaviors are in no way. Now, number 3, violation of policies or terms. If the customer violates the terms of agreement or the company's policies, there is no way you can be talking about, or if the customer is insisting on violating a policy, that customer is not right. Why? Because these policies have been these policies are what hold the company. And these policies ensure fairness and consistency in business operation. Right? Now, I've been a victim of this. So there was, when we started, some years ago, when we started trading, when I started training people in the office setting to teach people crypto. So a woman came and was very interested in learning crypto. And I told her, as a company policy, we don't trade for people. And she was like, no, 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 that please now, please now. She paid to learn. So, and I said, as you are learning, you are applying what you are saying. He said, I'm elderly, I'm this one, I'm this one. Now, okay, customers are always right because we just started this thing officially in the office. So I said, okay, so how much are you looking at? She said she wants to come in with $17,000. I said, lie, I will not collect. He said, okay, just take even if it's small, even if it's take $3,000. I'll trade with 14,000. I was like, oh, okay, very good, fine, thank you. Now, we started this business, and what was the agreement? The agreement was that we would trade for 4 months. Whatever is the profit, we will split it. She will take 70%, I will take 30%. Now, that splitting was based on the understanding that if there is a loss, she will be liable to 70% of the loss, and I'll be liable to 30% of the loss. So, and this was shortly at the end of the last bull run in crypto. Then, when it was December, we were already at a negative. We had made some profit, but market just do jamboree. Then when it was time, I showed her the account. I said, see, this was happening. She said, no, you can't take it. I said, okay, so there are two conditions. You either take it, we share the loss like this, or you will wait till market recover. Anytime market will recover. You say, I will wait. My brother, I will wait. After 2 months, market kept going down. After 3 months, well, we have already agreed you will wait now, so there's no problem. After 3 months, this woman pressured my life, disturbed my peace. I had to start paying her from somewhere else. Now, customer is always right. Cost me to violate a policy that was built to protect the company as an entity. So there are times when customers are not always right. Number 4, when customers have conflicting values. When customers have conflicting values. When a customer requests something that conflicts with your company's values. Listening to what they are saying and wanting to do what they want, it will of course undermine. Try to balance customer satisfaction with the ethics of the business. Let there be some form of ethical consideration. Let me give you an example. So, you're running a school, and the parents come to tell you, I want you to help my child and write the answer in WAEC. Now, if you as a school say, no, our value is that the students should be prepared to write the exam by themselves. At that point, you will need to choose. Because most times the parents will say, I want where they will be able to write the answer for them. And they will move. So at that point, you will need to choose between customer satisfaction and organizational integrity. Which one is more important? Number 5. Impact on employee morale. I see a lot of businesses make this mistake. You prioritize customers' demand and you don't consider impact on employees' morale. It's very bad because once employees feel unsupported or undervalued, they will provide below par service and it will eventually affect the entire customer service. Very important. When you notice that whatever the customer is talking about, if you notice that paying so much attention on that will impact on employee morale, you need to reconsider. Because if you prioritize customer demands without considering impact on employees, you will have most of your employees leaving you. And this will still affect the overall customer experience. So there must be a balance. Number 6, unprofitable transactions. Unprofitable transactions. You see, if you continuously accommodate unprofitable customers because you are trying to cater to everybody, it will drain your resources. Let me tell you something. It's not every customer that is equally valuable. Let me tell you the truth. No. Not all customers are equally valuable to a business when it comes to profitability. So, if you continuously accommodate unprofitable customers, or you are attending to every Tom, Dick, and Harry, that's why when you are starting a business, you must first understand who is my target market. I had a friend one time that said, that I want my business to be such that anybody that comes into my office will do business with me. Now, it looks like it makes sense, but at the long run, that was a very sick thing to do. Everybody cannot be your target. If you have everybody as your target, trust me, you are going to have plenty customers that will cause you problem. Plenty problem. And because you have the mindset that customer is always right, it will affect your profit. It will affect your bottom line. So you must ensure that you are focusing on high value customers that contribute more to your bottom line. It's not every Tom, Dick, and Harry because he did one small business with you. Say customer is always right. No. This is the truth. Then finally, strategic decisions. Strategic decisions. If you think customer is always right, let me ask you, just mistakenly do one survey and ask customers if you should increase the cost of your product or reduce the cost of your product, looking at the situation of things in the country. I can tell you one thing. Some customers will tell you to reduce the cost of your product so they can afford it. Yes. Some will say don't increase it, just leave it like that. Okay, take for instance, I attended a PTA meeting one time in one of the government schools. No, it wasn't a government school. I can't remember where I attended it, but the parents were advising the school management to reduce school fees and increase staff salary. As in, the school fees that they are using to pay staff, that they should reduce it. Then they should increase the salary of the staff and get the balance of money from where? So, in certain instances, adhering to the belief that the customer is always right will bring conflict to your business decisions, strategic business decisions, especially if you have long-term growth at mind. So you must learn to balance short-term customer satisfaction with the bigger strategic objectives. So I'm sure you can see that the customers are not always right. However, every business must focus on customer satisfaction without neglecting maintaining the integrity of the business. Make sure as a business you are customer centric. You aim to meet your customers' needs and you are still maintaining your standards and policies. Very important. Another thing you can do to ensure that there is a balance between customer satisfaction and maintaining business integrity is communication. Communication. As much as possible, be transparent in your communication. There are so many times I would have had issues with some customers, but just clear communication, transparent communication, screenshots and everything, and everywhere is clear. Communicate policies, communicate terms of service. If there's any limitation, communicate it. To avoid all this misunderstanding and disputes. Right? Now also, try and make sure you are a little flexible on policies. Create small room for flexibility. Create small room for flexibility. And most importantly, take a long-term perspective when you are making decisions that will affect customer satisfaction and business integrity. Try to balance these two. The customer is right, but not always. So as a business, you should be focused on what? Customer satisfaction and maintaining business integrity. That is where we'll bring this meeting to a close for today. I want to believe you gain value. Now, if you are in any form of buying and selling, e-commerce, whatever it is, communication is very important. Communication is very, very important. Like it's the light wire. Communication. Communication. Communicate your policies. Communicate your terms of service. Very important. When the trade is going on, communicate. If the person places an order, communicate you have received funds. Communicate order has been shipped. Follow up. Clear communication is very important. I know people that have sold items on e-commerce. The items arrived with problem, but because of communication, the customer ordered another one and still referred people to order. And I'm not talking of cheap item of all the 2K, 5K. Communication is very important. And if you are a business that have customers, please do not over prioritize customer satisfaction to employee morale. It's very, very, very bad. Because the employees are the ones doing the work. When they feel you don't have their back, trust me, they will move. They will move. All right, so this is where we'll draw the curtain for tonight. So till tomorrow, where we are going to be looking at Crypto Diaries. Tomorrow we are going to be looking at a very, very important topic. Cryptocurrency as a store of value. And we are going to be looking at the SEC regulation. Cryptocurrency as a store of value. And we'll be looking at SEC regulations. All right, so on that note, I want to draw the curtain for tonight. Thank you for availing me with your time. And until I come your way again tomorrow, God bless you.